All right, so here's what we're doing today. We are going to talk about the 2 articles that I had you read. Did I give them to you on Friday? Okay, so the first one is the one out of the week, which is Mount Everest's Filthy Little Secret. That's the one I want to address first. And then the second one is Maxed Out on Everest. So could you get those 2 articles out for me? Yeah. You do if you printed them out of Dropbox.
I like it.
Or did you get, okay, so you have the packet. I'll get your packet out. Okay. Yes. Okay, so you're going to see what we're doing when we start talking about this. That's the one we're working on tonight. So go ahead and put that. You have a bunch.
I did.
Organize them. Organize them. Okay, let's look at the one that says the week first.
Are we supposed to do the week too?
All right. My little helpers that have the handouts that say the synthesis argument pre-write, could you pass those out to your team? And I want you to take note that the synthesis superhero is on it. I didn't know he existed, but alas, he does. And he's cute. All right, he's right here. So this is the sheet you should have sitting in front of you. You don't. You can put your journals away. We're working with the articles today, and we're working with the pre-write sheet. Okay, you got your 2 articles in front of you and your pre-write. So one of the tasks that I asked you to do is I asked you to read the article how many times? Twice. Okay, and to do highlighting and annotating. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to actually show you what mine looks like. But before we go there, I want to do a really quick review. On Friday, I read to you what a synthesis essay was composed of. And you guys took notes on, do you remember your little Post-it note? Okay, so the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take that Post-it note and you're going to put that over the superhero. That's where it goes. So it's on that sheet of paper. Okay? Then, what I'd like you and your group to do is to quickly go over what a claim is. What are you, just throwing things? Okay, I want you to quickly go over with your group what a claim, counterclaim, ethos, pathos, logos, rebuttal, and qualifier and warrant, what they are. The fastest group to actually get those filled in completely, once you're done and you have them all filled in, I want you to stand up. On your marks, get set, go. So you want to fill this in first. Good.
Can we write this? I'm actually like, does it make sense?
This part first, that's what you're working on, because the fastest group done with that gets points. Once you all finish and have it filled in, stand up.
Yeah.
You're going to be filling in just these review terms really fast. Fastest, yeah, just the definition as brief as possible. And the fastest is once you all have it done, stand up, because I'm going to give points to the first group.
Just put it in a copy. State them out loud, man.
Okay, the claim is your point of view or
Trying to prove.
or something you're trying to prove.
Okay, what's it? Logos, ethos, and pathos.
Logos is appealing to the arguments. The author readers.
Is it like there's like emotion, credibility, and logic?
Ethos is credibility.
Ooh, there you go. Excellent wording.
Warrant.
Logos, I think, is logic, and pathos is emotion.
Not quite.
What's a qualifier?
That's ethos. Remember, the qualifier is when we temper our sentences so they aren't like completely absolute. Like, oh, teenagers love pizza. That's not true, right? It's most teenagers, or many teenagers, or some teenagers. So it's those words that kind of temper your argument so that it's more palatable. Oh, we got one group over here. They're totally done. I'm going to come check them.
Of course, too.
You guys done too? Okay, I'm looking for one more group. What do we got? Not just ethics. Write that down. Okay. Let me see. I'm looking for one more group.
Disputing.
What's a warrant?
Good, good, good.
A
Excellent.
warrant is.
Stay standing. Okay, pick a representative. Who's going to do your speaking? Pick a representative. Who's going to do your
We
speaking?
did such a good job.
Is it going to be you? Because you're still standing?
Gosh, guess what?
Okay.
Turns
Anybody
out
else
we
done?
can be
Are you
creative.
still working?
So we drew a mountain.
Qualifier? Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Pretty impressive.
Are you guys done?
Remember what qualified.
Not yet?
Lauren.
Okay. Okay, who's going to be my speaker? Jay. All right, the rest of you sit down. So I have, who's my speaker? Cassidy, stay standing. Jay, stay standing for me. If you want. All right. So let's review this. Tell me really quickly, and I'm going to go over to my group number 1. Hey, are we ready? Group number 1 was over here, correct? Okay, so tell me, what is ethos?
Ethos is your credibility and ethics.
That is correct. It's the author's credibility, right?
Stay standing.
No, it's definition.
I knew it.
Just stay with me. But you probably, did you find it in the article? Because you did, Ikaho, look at me. Ikaho, you did advanced. Okay, that's good. All right, are you ready? Tell me what the rebuttal is.
Argument against the argument of the argument.
Okay, let me clarify that for you.
It totally makes sense though.
Okay, are you listening or are you talking? Okay, it's the argument against the counterclaim. Yeah. I liked how you said it. That was delightful. Okay, tell me what the claim is.
What you're trying to prove?
Okay, what you're trying to prove. Okay, Cassidy, qualifier.
It replaces the subject or noun. Or noun.
Subject or noun.
Make it like more general.
To make it more general, give me an example so I know what you're talking
Like rather than saying all, you say some.
Okay, so it tempers, I'm going to write down tempers
It's okay. It's good. I didn't know.
the sentence. And then I'm going to put all versus some. So you guys remember that when we're talking about qualifying, because sometimes when we write arguments, we're not saying tourism on Everest should be stopped, right? That's an absolute. Maybe we want to qualify that. Maybe my argument would be, you know what, only experienced climbers should be allowed to climb Everest. That way, I'm not saying everybody shouldn't be climbing it or everybody should be climbing it. I'm qualifying it, okay? It's a way to temper your argument in a sense. Okay, tell me what is counterclaim.
It's the argument against the argument.
Okay, opposes your claim. Logos.
The logical or factual appeal.
Okay, evidence and facts. Excellent. Pathos.
It's your emotional feeling.
Appeals to emotions.
So it's the argument that disproves the
Excellent. Last one, Cassie, I know this is going to be a tough one for you. Warrant.
It answers like the question, so what?
Okay, so it's why it matters, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to say since you were first, you get 3. 3 points over here for the flurries. You were second, correct? 2 for Norwal. And Jay, excellent representation of the best. All right. So now that we have that, we've readdressed that. Here's what we're doing today. Okay, so I want to look at the very first article we're going to look at is the week because it's an easy one to look at. And before we start, I want to show you what mine looks like so you can see what annotation might look like. Some of the kids last period were like, I don't know how to annotate. And I'm like, didn't they teach you that last year? They're like, no. Okay, so I want to take you through my thinking as I was doing it.
Miss Temple should know what annotating is.
Hey, waiting. I want to take you through my thinking so you can see how I go about annotating something. But here are the clues. When I'm reading things, I'm thinking about my personal experiences, right, that I might put on there like, this makes me think of blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking about things that I've observed in the world. I'm thinking about questions that may come to mind. I'm thinking about connections to other readings. So like when I did Maxed Out on Everest, I had a lot of connections to Into Thin Air, and I'll explain those in a second. I'm just thinking about things that it makes me wonder or kind of question or maybe I'm possibly amazed by. So I'm going to show you what I highlighted and what I wrote about. Okay, so the very first one is the week. And it looks like, you can see, I just want you to kind of visually see it because it doesn't show up the same way on the actual overhead. But you can see out of my little article, and I wasn't doing anything like really super crazy annotation. I was just like the things that interested me or I thought that were kind of fascinating or perhaps disgusting. Okay? So, the very first thing that I highlighted was lots of excrement. Because, come on, the very first sentence, the guy's talking about poop, right? That's pretty alarming to me. So I put up here, I'm like, it's one thing to leave trash, but it's another to leave excrement because I feel like that's a health hazard for people. So that bothered me, okay? The next thing that I put up here, it says, but environmental activists are using the occasion to call attention to the tons and tons of garbage. I highlighted that because I just wanted to remember that there are tons and tons of garbage up there, okay? Then it said, I highlighted 35 expeditions that, and then the guy said there are just people everywhere. And I said, that's just a ton of people. 35 expeditions, and some of those expeditions are up to 30 or 40 people. So when you do the math on that, that's a lot of foot traffic that's going up someplace that is completely pristine and beautiful, or should be at least anyway. Over here, I highlighted, it's a McDonald's experience. This might be my favorite quote out of the entire piece. And I'm gonna tell you why. When I think of McDonald's, I automatically think of like their sign that says like 32 million served or 1 billion now or whatever it is, right? I think of their food as fast and cheap and kind of just, yeah, it's a corporation. It's something that's accessible to anyone. So when you call Everest a McDonald's experience, you're really kind of like painting the picture of it's cheapened, it's commercialized, anybody can do it. And that's really not what Everest, in my mind, should be about, right? So that's why I highlighted that. So I said it's being cheapened is what I wrote under it. And then over here with the 234 climbers, I put, I can't imagine the bottlenecks that created and the trash that's created from that many people. Then I highlighted 13 tons, and I said, how much is really up there? Like, do they actually have an actual count? My question got answered further down the line, which I thought was kind of cool. And then it said crowded but disgustingly polluted. So when I envision Everest, I envision it being like this gorgeous place, but then they paint this completely opposite picture. So I said, doesn't that ruin the point? Isn't it all about nature, and yet we sacrifice nature for our ambition to get up the hill? Like that to me, I'm kind of wrestling with that. Over here, I highlighted 74 pieces of art, and I said, well, that's kind of cool that they're making something good from something bad, but I don't know that that negates what's happening. And then the last stuff that I highlighted is said most of the corpses are still on the mountain, and then the death zone starts at 26,000 feet. And I said, my question was, should they be left up there or should they be brought down? Now this is a question I don't know that I'm ever going to get an answer to, even for myself. And that's part of annotation. It's your thinking. It's like your thinking going on the page. So I don't know if we should bring them down, but it's something it's worth considering. And then the $4,000 deposit, and it says it's in US dollars. And I said, can this really fix this? Can you put a price on the pollution that's happening? Now, here's why this bothered me. Some of these climbers are paying $70,000 to $120,000 to scale this mountain. If you get up in the death zone and you're thinking, I just spent $120,000 to get here, right? And you're like, I am out of oxygen, I need a tank. And you take your tank out and you're in that position where John Krakauer was, where he's like having a hard time breathing, right? Are you really at this point gonna worry about $4,000? No. Probably not, right? So you're gonna dump the tank and get down safely because you wanna live. And so for me, I'm like, is this even really enough? Like, it's kind of like a drop in the bucket comparatively. Like, is that enough to charge people? Just my thinking. And then the last thing down here, it says 10 tons of garbage they estimate that's still up there. And then I put down there and like, that shouldn't be the way it is. So that's how I annotated mine. So here is what I want you to do. I want you to look over your annotations, and if you didn't do it that way, it's not that it's a bad thing. I just want you to think about it tonight when you're actually annotating your articles. Think about why you're highlighting the stuff you're highlighting and why it matters to you and what it makes you question, wonder, or worry about, okay? Today in your group, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, and on your little handout underneath what you just filled in, which it looked like this, it says source A, okay? And then it says a 1-sentence summary of the piece. So I want you and your little cohorts in your group to talk about what you think you could summarize this whole piece in one sentence. Now here's the deal. I'm picking the best and I'm giving points for the best.
Oh.
So the best one sentence summary. Okay? Yeah, right? Okay, you have 2 minutes. Go, write it.
How do you decide which is the best, though?
Where's my green?
It's like mount.
Has downgraded the mountain's natural beauty. Crap with all the trash.
Ooh, I like it. Just now become a McDonald's experience. Is the title Mount Everest Filthy Secret?
I got that.
It's a dump.
That was clever, McKinney.
So,
ready?
a good one sentence. Alright, never mind. Got one.
So this is what I said. I said the statistics on Mount Everest most interesting facts.
So if like you want to pull like a direct quote or like a direct like a good number, like this is like
So you're working on that one sentence summary of the entire article.
I think a good one sentence summary is that Mount Everest is full of crap. Literally. I think she would like that because it's like a play on words. Kind of.
Yeah, you actually have to write a real sentence. Did you know that? You do now.
Write fake sentences.
Just write a Charles Dickens.
Yeah, Newman, write fake ones.
Drinking 2 paragraphs. And it still doesn't.
Okay, remember I'm picking the best
Sounds
summary
incomplete.
sentence.
Oh.
Ooh, McDonaldization? Oh, that's good. That's rich.
Alright.
You have 1 minute left. That's not very much time. Right like the wind.
Oh.
Are you good? You guys got it? Ooh, I like it. Ooh. Did you say cemetery?
Yeah.
Good word.
Cemetery.
You're like, I feel it. We won. Designate a speaker for your group to share it.
Jacob?
Excuse me, I'm still thinking.
Okay, so you guys have your one sentence summary done. So you're ready? Okay.
Everest is
Are you guys done?
I can use a
Okay,
craft
hurry.
sentence.
Are you done?
We should use a craft.
Are we done? Is anyone
You
volunteering?
have the one sentence summary done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're ready to say it?
Sure.
Can't be just pulled off the top of your head. It's gotta be on the paper. You got it done. Who's speaking for your group? Okay. You got it done? One sentence summary?
Yeah. Almost.
Hurry. Got a speaker? Okay, good.
I don't blame them for doing
Okay.
that. You have to.
So again, I'm picking my favorite and I'm gonna give points to my favorite. Let's start with over here. Okay, are you ready? I want you to listen because we want to see who's got the best. Okay, everybody stare at Cassidy.
Oh, goodness. The McDonaldization of Mount Everest, it's supersizing the mountain.
Really nice play on the words.
Right? Right?
That's gorgeous. Succinct. Love it. Okay, over here.
Go for it.
Disrespect towards Everest through trash and commercialization.
Commercialization. Okay, excellent. Over here.
Mount Everest is full of crap and has been overly commercialized.
Okay, true. It's true. But I'm not sure I'm loving the word crap.
Okay. Full of poop.
Excrement. Might be human feces would be a better
okay.
choice. Okay, over here. All right, listen up, please.
Mount Everest, which has become a McDonald's experience, has been downgraded from a natural wonder to the world's biggest trash can and cemetery.
That's gorgeous. That is
Whoa, really?
A million times.
okay. I love it. All right, so I need Cassidy to stand up and you to stand up. Okay, over here.
You don't have to be so rude.
The commercialization.
Commercialization.
I'm gonna try this again. The commercialization of Everest has led to an overpopulation of people on the mountain's pristine. Has led to an overpopulation of people on this pristine international beauty.
Gorgeous.
It has turned it into the world's highest dump instead of the world's most beautiful mountain.
I love it. Did you use a semicolon in that?
I did.
High five him, please. I love semicolons. I like it when you use them. I like it when you use them well. Okay. No, let's talk about it right after class. I want to know all about it. Okay, who's my speaker over here? Okay, Sam, you're up.
Okay. The deluge of trash and people on Everest is minimizing the experience for advanced climbers and is also harming the ecosystem.
Okay, stand up. That's gorgeous. You know what I love? The word deluge. I like the word deluge. Right? That's nice. That's a nice effect. Okay, let's go over here. Okay, listen, we're doing sudden death. Let's find out which one I like the best.
It's the McDonaldization of Mount Everest. It's supersizing the mountain.
I love that. I'm just going to tell you something. If I don't choose that one, you guys, some of you should use that in your actual synthesis essay because it's gorgeous.
Dibs.
Yeah, we're all using it.
Okay.
Mount Everest, which has become a McDonald's experience, has been downgraded from a natural wonder to the world's biggest trash can and cemetery.
Hold on. Go over here.
The deluge of trash and people on Everest is minimizing the experience for advanced climbers and is also harming the ecosystem.
I'm going to go with Sam's group, although I'm giving you a point for that. That's excellent. All right, so 2 points over here. Excellent. And 1 over here. So I need you to read it for me again. Okay, I need to write this down. Let's go.
The deluge of trash and people on Everest.
Hey. The best. Okay, the deluge.
Sometimes I think you really are
Trash and people on Everest.
Okay.
Is minimizing the experience
Okay.
for advanced climbers.
Gorgeous. And
is also harming the ecosystem.
I'm going to tell you why I like this one. Number 1, I think you used really good word choice, great diction. And I personally like the ecosystems part in there because I think you're addressing something more than just the commercialization. I thought it was gorgeous. I love the terminology, but I want to address what's happening to the ecosystem as well. Not just the fact that it's been commercialized, but it's also being like trashed while we're up there. Okay, so here's what you and your group are going to do next. We have a 1-sentence summary. When you go to write your synthesis essay, you're going to have to use facts that support what you think. And remember, you guys, when you write, are the main event, right? It's not, you're not summarizing things for me and telling me what other people think or feel. You are, let me help you. Okay? You are telling us what you think about Everest, correct? So what I'd like you to do is I want you and your group to look through what you've highlighted, and you can see what I've annotated from mine, and I want you to pick your favorite quote or partial quote. It doesn't even have to be a whole sentence, it could be a partial quote. Maybe I'm gonna pick the piles of excrement. Maybe that's the one that bothers me. Maybe I'm gonna pick it's the McDonald's experience. Maybe that's the thing that bothers me. I want you to pick the one that you think is important and poignant, okay? And I want you to write that partial quote down, okay? We're gonna go through them in like 3 minutes, so go, write them down. Just one quote, please.
I said with garbage leaking
Did you guys already do it?
Oh, yeah. Human excrement fouling my high camps. Yeah.
But what if you didn't even bring that one in?
I mean, like, it's probably Aisha. Well, I'm saying Aisha.
No, I think it's Aisha.
It's a McDonald's experience.
Is that the one you're gonna take? Okay. All right, everybody write it down so you have it. You don't necessarily have to pick what your team picks. You can pick something that, if you like it better. Which one are you guys gonna pick? Do you have it?
I'm gonna do the McDonald's experience.
I did the with garbage leaking out of the glaciers.
I love that. So I want you to, because somebody has already done the McDonald's experience, so I want to hear that one. Okay. You guys know what you're gonna pick. You don't have to pick the same thing as your team. You can pick if you have a different idea, because we may hear the same thing over and over, and I'm gonna want different ones. So pick your favorite quote.
When I saw the two of you
Okay, you
at the
have
same
like 1
time.
minute left. You should have a quote written down right here.
234 climbers
What'd you
reached the
guys
top of
where-
Everest.
I like the McDonald's
I want your quote right there where it says quotation. You did it. You're good. Okay, did anybody in here not pick McDonald's? You did? Okay, may I ask you to speak if we already hear McDonald's? I'll ask you to speak.
I should have just said I chose McDonald's.
Well, apparently red and
So, yeah, pick a different one. This one's you're doing tonight.
Which one are we?
You're ahead.
I did that one too, so.
Okay, so you guys did the right articles. We're still in the week, so I want you to pick the one that you. Yeah. Okay, what do we got?
I need to cut this.
Okay, so I may ask you to use the other one just because I'm hearing McDonald's a lot. All right, so I'm hearing McDonald's a lot. That's not a bad thing, but I'm also looking for other quotes besides that. So look around. You got one? Okay, good. Are you good? Yeah. We're ready? Are you guys ready?
I kind of like this quote too, but I don't have room to write that. It's too much.
Put partial pieces of it. The most important part.
Energy and weight? No, it's because it's like talking about that you can't blame the climbers.
Somebody used that before. That was a good one. We had a really good conversation about that. Do you have it written down?
Yeah.
Okay. Is everybody using McDonald's experience here? No. Okay, you got a different one? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you about it. All right. So here's what I'd like to do. Eyeballs up here, please. I would like to hear each group's quote that you chose. And when I hear the quote, I'm going to ask you to tell me why you think it matters or why it's important to you. Okay, and I want you to listen to what they say because this is actually an important part of the process. All right, we're going to start over here because it's exciting. Okay, Stella, I'd like you to... Hey, Stella, could you speak up really loudly for me?
Okay. 234 climbers reached the top of Everest in just one day in 2012.
Okay, so why do you think that that's an important quote?
Because it kind of encompasses that the Everest has been made available to a lot of people, but also it's crowded, and if it's crowded, then there's probably a lot of trash. So it just says that it's big, the amount of people who go there, and so everything else must be getting more dirtier.
Okay, excellent. Did she answer me in just one sentence? Yeah. No. Right? She told me why it was important in several sentences. She expanded and elaborated on what she thought was important or poignant about it. Okay, that is, look at the box right underneath it with the arrow. What does that box say? Tell me what that box says underneath. Right here.
Right here? Why does this quotation matter? What do you think about it?
Okay, so when I ask you to explain to me why you picked that quote, I want you to listen to what people are saying because that essentially turns into what you really think. And remember, you are the main part of this essay. It's what you think, not what the sources tell you. It's what you think. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, and as I tell you, like as we listen, when she finishes, she's going to write down everything she just said because that's exactly what I'm looking for. I want to know your thinking on it. I want to know why it's important to you. Why does it matter? We can all pull the McDonald's experience, right? But until we actually talk about why it matters to us, it's kind of pointless. Okay, over here, what's the quote you picked?
With garbage leaking out of the glaciers and pyramids of human excrement befouling the high camps.
That's a gorgeous quote. Why did you pick it?
I said that it gives a good image of what it actually looks like on the mountain because you can give statistics all you want and fill people with information, but unless they actually get the image of how bad it is up there, they're never going to care.
Okay, everything you said, and I mean every single thing, needs to go into that box underneath. That's why it matters. Write that down. That's excellent. Over here, what quote did we pick?
Because I didn't want to do that one.
You can skip us and then she'll change it and we'll come
No, go ahead. Give it.
It's the you can't necessarily blame the climbers, especially inexperienced ones, for their littering habit. Like that's partial.
Okay, so why would you pick that? What matters about it?
Because like the mountain is dirty and everything, but if they're like the non-experienced, you can't blame them for not having a guy that like is I don't know like strict. Because the guy that's like in love with the mountain or like values it so much should be the one who's responsible for making sure his team cleans it. So you can't blame the climber for not necessarily
That's
doing
true if you're paying like
You know what is so interesting is last period somebody picked that very same quote and they went the complete opposite way with it. And the reason but what I like about this quote, this is good, this is a really good point. What I like about the quote is you can often use quotes to illustrate what you think. She went the other way and said, well, why wouldn't we blame the climbers? Like they're there, their foot traffic is there, they're creating the mess. But what you said made a lot of it made sense, right? You're talking about how they're inexperienced up there and it's the guide that should really be responsible. That is a worthwhile point. Okay, they're both correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it is, and that's what makes good writing good, is that you're using your own commentary and thinking to expand upon it. You're not just saying, oh my gosh, she's right, I'm wrong. I don't want you to do that. So fill that box in. That's excellent. Over here, what do we got?
My quote is, most of the corpses are still on the mountain frozen in the death zone that starts at 26,000 feet up.
Okay.
And I chose that because it's kind of sad, because those people went up there and their dream was probably to climb Mount Everest, and they may or may not have achieved that, and they're just left there and their families are left behind.
Maybe they wanted to die.
That's true, but their family might want a real burial for them, and they can't have that. They don't have that closure.
Okay, excellent. Really good commentary. I want you to write that down in the box. Write it right now so you don't forget it. Okay, over here, what do we got?
2.5 tons.
Okay, hang on, listen, guys. Okay.
2.5 tons of that garbage classified as biohazardous waste.
Tell me why that bothers you.
I think that most of the time when I picture biohazardous waste, I think of the big cans with the whole suit, and yet it's up on something that we revere and we see as gorgeous and we try to conquer.
Right.
And it also bothers me that it's one sentence. They're not elaborating on it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and I think that's something that can harm not just the mountain, but in the long run can harm everything around it.
Yeah, and they talk about the biohazardous waste, like up on the top, actually seeping down into the valley. So I just want you to envision this for a second. It's kind of gross, but just stay with me. Human excrement, like going, like things go down, traveling down, and when that hits the valleys where you have populations of people who maintain their life off of the sources of the land, like the water and the ground, like that's a problem. And we talked about this last period about how it's so distant and removed because we don't live in close proximity to it, so we don't really focus on it. We're like not that worried about it. Whereas we all run around with stickers on our car that say "Keep Tahoe Blue," right? Because it's in our backyard, and we all want Tahoe Blue. But if you think about it, Everest is the same caliber, if not even better than Tahoe, right? It's the highest point on Earth, and yet there's heaps and heaps of trash. That's crazy. Okay, over here, what's your thinking?
We said not only dangerously crowded, but also disgustingly polluted. And we chose it because if you were to use this in an argument, it introduces 2 points that you can use. So you can talk about it being overcrowded, and then you can talk about it being polluted, and then you can combine them to make a stronger argument.
I love that, and it kind of goes back to what Sam said over here for her help me out, her summary, where she's talking about not just the commercialization, right, but the biohazardous effects of what we have going on up there. All right, so guess what you're going to do now? No, you're going to pick your next. No, we're not going to go there yet. We got more practice to do. Okay, so no, I would like you to fill in. Look at Heather's. There's a spot that says another quotation or partial quotation. So whatever you see in there that is, again, that is important to you, that you think is worthwhile to note, I want you to take a minute and I want you to write it down. Got it? You're gonna get 2 minutes to find another quotation. Go.
Wait for more.
Same reading. Yeah, I want you to have at least 2 from each one. So you're doing the same reading.
Which one are you gonna pick now?
So this should be filled in. That's the most important part, right? The bulk of your essay is going to be that.
I bent my paper.
Are you covering up the mic, trying not to let it hear you?
Yeah. We cover it up a lot.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
Well, we want him to have good data to show people, not our
Terrible.
You guys are delightful. You're forgetting that. Do you have your other quotation?
No, I haven't chosen one yet.
Okay. Maya's got hers, right?
Yep.
Excellent.
Why did you?
What does that say?
You can't necessarily blame the climbers.
Okay, why are you picking that one?
Because I think it's kind of true. It's their government system there. I feel like it's their role, but also like everyone's so worried about the precious mountain, and there's people starving in the streets. Like be all worried about nature. You can't be like, oh, I love nature and the mountain and the scenery, and then there's just like humans lying in filth a mile away. I
Bothers
think
you.
it's hypocrisy. acting
Write
like
that
you
down.
care a
I
whole
like
bunch.
that. That's excellent. Yeah.
So, how do they know whether or not the people take their trash down with them?
I've heard that they actually weigh it going in and coming out, but I don't know. That's a great point to research, just to double check.
One of the things when I was in
And I think that they've taken account of like how many canisters are going up, and I don't know how they address, but they do address the excrement somehow. And I know there are waste bins for it at base camp. I know it's so gross when you think about it, but I'm not sure. But it'd be worth researching it.
You stand down there and get ready to catch them.
Okay, you got your second
Roll
one?
these barrels down the hill towards you.
Do you got your second one?
Yeah.
All right, you're good. All right, are you done or you need another minute? Done? Look at you, Courtney. You're like lightning over there. She's like, I know.
Somebody, you know what I mean? Like to get.
All right, let's go ahead and listen. And
satisfaction
here's the
for
deal.
myself.
Especially for some of you sitting in groups. If you're sitting in a group and you're like, yeah, this is what my team picked, but that's not really the quote that I love. If you hear one that you're like, that's the quote that I wanted to use, then go ahead and take it. It doesn't mean that you can't do your own thinking. You're not going to be group writing this paper. You're going to be self-writing this paper, right? So if you hear a quote that is more poignant to you, squeeze it on the page so you can come back to it later. All right, let's go. Where did I start last time? Over there? Let's start in the middle. Let's go right here with Courtney's group. Courtney, are you going to speak for me?
Sure.
Okay, let's hear the quote.
Mine is, you can't necessarily blame the climbers, especially inexperienced.
Courtney, we just did that.
We used that last time. Dang it, never mind. I thought they did it, but I had a different point on it.
Okay, let's hear your point.
Okay.
Because that's totally worthwhile.
I said we've always been taught not to litter, like it's just kind of a law.
Yeah.
And so it shouldn't be any different on like the world's biggest mountain. Like it should be a bigger deal not to litter on it, and they should either like start building toilets or do something about that.
You know what I love? What I love is within the same group, we have the same quote and two totally different opinions on it. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's go over here to McKay's, the best group. Who's going to read theirs?
I could do it.
Okay, Jay.
Just to make sure nobody's used the art one, has they? Have they? Not
I don't
yet?
think so.
Okay. They used the collected trash, which included oxygen cylinders and scraps from a helicopter that crashed into Everest in the 1970s, to make 74 pieces of art.
Okay, why does that matter to you?
Because they're showing that you could take something that's really bad and make something nice out of it.
Yeah. That's kind of, it inspires a little bit of hope, doesn't it? Excellent. All right, let's go over here to Newman's group. What do we got?
My quote was, dropping used supplies at the mountain rather than carrying it with them can save vital energy and weight. And I put like the garbage on Everest could have saved lives. Like if they wouldn't have dropped that weight, they could have died, or like other things could have complicated it. And so I just like had the question, like, is the life of a climber more important than littering the mountain in the long run? And
excellent. Really good thinking. I love it. Let's go over here to Kylie's group.
I chose the 4.4 tons of garbage picked up this year by a joint Indian Nepali team, the first of its kind.
Okay.
I thought that was crazy because this was written last year, and it took that amount of time to figure out, oh, we should probably do something about this and to create awareness about it. And it was the first group. And on top of that, it wasn't even like an American team or anything like that. It was a Nepali team, which means it was someone who was surrounded by the mountain, and it was actually affecting them.
Okay.
So,
do you know why last year there were so many articles about, does anybody know, about Everest?
Was it the anniversary?
Oh my gosh, high five her, please. Last year, in 2013, it was the 60th anniversary of Hillary's, his ascent, his famous ascent, and he lived. His descent, really, right? Okay, we did, you guys? Okay, so did you tell me why it was important? Mm-hmm. Okay, over here, what do we got?
Everest is no longer a wilderness experience, it's a McDonald's experience. We did this one because it talks about commercialization, but it also shows human entitlement and cheapness. And it also kind of shows like human laziness, because You go
Okay,
to
wait.
McDonald's
This is so good. You guys really need to listen to this over here. First of all, she dropped the word entitlement, which is so good. Okay, keep going.
And like, it's like showing laziness because we go to McDonald's because we're too lazy to go home and cook. We don't want to buy a more expensive food that's probably better for us. And at home, you're forced to clean. So then you get to a mountain, you're like, oh, who cares? It's just a mountain. So you litter
Somebody
and
else will do
trash
it.
it. Yeah.
Interesting. Gorgeous. Okay, my last one over here. What do we got? Second quote.
My quote was, there were just people everywhere.
Okay.
It matters because, well, if there's so many people and they all have a purpose, and that's to get to the summit from the muscle. And so when there's so many of these people and they have to use these things that they're not worried about trash, they're not worried about leaving stuff there. They're worried about going to the summit.
Okay, excellent.
Good one, Hector. What if the trash is like a way to say that they were there?
Yeah.
Wow. There are better ways to say you've been there. All right, so here's what I'd like you to do. Let's go ahead and look at our source B. Stay with me. Okay, get out the next article, maxed out on Everest. Let's look at that one.
Hillbilly It's okay, keep it up. Keep me smiling.
Okay, y'all looking at it? Yeah?
What's wrong with the graph?
Okay.
They all have graphs.
Focus for me. I've only got like 4 minutes, so I want to talk to you really quickly about what we're doing. All right, so maxed out on Everest, I have to tell you the first page I didn't have a ton because there was a ginormous graph on it. Second page, I had a little bit more.
Why is there a graph on the last page?
But the last 2 pages, I actually made a lot of connections to our reading from Into Thin Air. And so I have like little things over here like where I said, maybe this is what happened to Beck Weathers. I'm talking about how some people biovacked on the actual mountain. I'm like, maybe that's, sorry to spoil this for you, but Beck Weathers. Okay, Beck Weathers is gonna live, even though we thought he blew off the mountain, right? That's true. That's true. All right, so here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you and your team to, again, just look over. This is a 4-page article, and we don't have very much time, so I want you to get your summary, 1-sentence summary done in like 1 minute. On your marks, to set, go. What is it? Hubris? Do you have your phone? Get it out. Let's look it up.
Talks about his experience. And then talks about how Odysseus had hubris. He was like proud of himself. Or something.
Google it. Let's get the definition. Let's get the proper definition. You're on the right track. Okay, 1-sentence summary. Do you have it? 1-sentence summary?
No. I don't. Wait, is this all of it?
Yes. Yeah. 4 pages. Did you find it?
I feel like more than 4 pages. That's why.
This one. It says pride or self-confidence. Yeah, that's what I said it was. I'm just
Oh, I don't have
You got your summary? Okay. You guys, we have like 2 minutes left.
All of the accomplishments of something should be the same.
Is that 1996?
No, this is what we're reading tonight.
Into Thin Air happened. That's what happened.
It has been.
Wait, no.
I don't know. Let's find out. We need to Google that. Okay, eyeballs up here really quickly.
I want to repeat that.
So we're not going to have enough time to go over this, but you know exactly what the process is. I want you to go home tonight. Don't pack up. Keep eye contact. I want you to go home tonight, and I want you to do exactly what we did today with the article that you already read, which is called Maxed Out on Everest. It's a longer article, so it's going to be harder to really distill a couple of quotes that you like because you may have 5 or 6, but I want you to boil it down to the 2 that really matter to you. Remember, it doesn't have to be the full sentence. It can be a partial quote as well. In addition to that tonight, to keep us on track, we're also going to be reading the article that is titled Is cleanup finally in sight for the highest rubbish dump on Earth? Looks like. Yeah, rubbish. You can tell that's. Okay, wait. So you are going to, let's just recap. You are going to do the, fill in the little boxes for Maxed Out on Everest, which we read last Friday. You are then going to read this article and annotate it, and you're going to do the exact same thing that we did for the week and that for Maxed Out on Everest for the third article.